Hi everybody, let's talk about a case study of an aging population, Japan. So Japan's background has a 125 million population, 36 million of which are elderly dependents. Its fertility rate is 1.30, which means on average, one woman will have 1.3 children, which is not enough to replace both the father and the mother. So in the future, you have a shrinking population, which is why the average age increases because you don't have a big young base to support the population. Its age dependency ratio is 71%, which means there's a really big burden, a really big strain on your economically active to take care of your dependents. The causes of Japan's aging population, you can use this anagram called WEBIC, WHEBIC. WEBIC stands for workaholic culture, high life expectancy, emancipation of women, baby booms, isolation culture, and cost of living. So workaholic culture. In Japan, it's something called Shushinkoyo, which is a permanent employment model for employees. So they work day and to night. They work from young to their deathbed. So they don't really have time for children. They don't really have time to take care of families. So if they do have children, they have very little children, and or they don't have children at all, which brings on your fertility. High life expectancy, Japan's life expectancy on average is 86, and it can be attributed to a variety of reasons. Right here, I have three. Their diets is really good. They have plant-based diets, they have fish diets, low consumption of red meat, which means their obesity rate is 5%. They have 0.00 homicide rates in 2022, so low crime rates, especially those crimes that cause deaths. And they have the second best healthcare system in the world, with 11% of their GDP invested in healthcare. So your elderly people are able to live to very old. So you do get this increasing age of your population. For E, emancipation of women, your female labor participation has risen from 45% in 1970 to 85% in 2020. So a lot of women are going into the workforce. What does this mean? If the women are working at early stages of their life, they have children later on. So the time that they start having children to the menopause becomes smaller, so they can have less children. And if they want to really focus on their work, really focus on their career, do the best they can, they might also not have children at all, which also brings down your fertility. For B, baby booms, there were two baby booms in Japan. The first one, post-World War II, from 1947 to 1949. On average, there was more than 2.5 million births a year. And a baby boom that resulted from the post-World War II baby boom. And from 1971 to 1974, there was around 2 million births a year. And after every baby boom, you have a shrink in your birth rates, which means you have a bulk of the baby boomers pushing up your average age of the population. Isolation culture. In Japan, there's something called hikikomori, which affects 1.5 million people in 2023. That's a big chunk of 125 million population for a social withdrawal syndrome. So essentially, for hikikomori, your people, they isolate themselves from work, from people. They don't find jobs, so they go into poverty, and they don't find partners, so they don't marry, they don't have children, and they cannot support their children if they do with the financial aspect, because they don't have jobs. So isolation culture is a big determinant of aging population. Lastly, you have cost of living. In Japan, the average family of 4, which is replacement level, you can replace the mother and the father, is 6.5 million yen a year, whereas the median salary is 5.7 million yen a year. You could argue that if you have both the mother and the father working, there's no one single breadwinner, then maybe you can make up the cost of living. However, it's generally kind of borderline because, as you can see over here, 15% of women don't work. Also, not 100% of men work, and the wages are variable. It's not always 5.7 million yen. It can change. And also, if the families want to live a more luxurious lifestyle, partake in a lot of other things that cost a lot of money, like dates or something, that pushes up their cost significantly more, which means it's more beneficial to have no children or one children. So that also brings down your fertility. As for your advantages and disadvantages of an aging population, you can build a silver economy, which is an economy based on the elderly. But like a byproduct of that is age-friendly products where everyone can use it, the elderly, the young, which helps increase your accessibility for everyone. And there's also automation to increase your productivity because your elderly aren't able to work. So with automation, you have greater efficiency and possibly higher output than just labor. Wisdom and life experience, they can pass their wisdom, what they have learned on to their children, which helps build their intelligence. helps also run the country as well. As you can see, 147 members of parliament over 60 were elected in 2021. There's also cultural conservation. Japan has really dense culture, dates back really long times. You can go to the Edo period, the Meiji period, and you can link that onto tourism as well, because it can help running tourism. But generally, just conserving the culture is really good for a country, especially for Japan. As for disadvantages, there's worker shortage in Japan, with 61% of construction companies and 29% retail companies struggling to find full-time employment, so their productivity might be low. There's healthcare strain. 70% of hospitalized are elderly in 2024. Not just that putting just preventing a lot of people from entering the healthcare system, but also the elderly take up more resources from the healthcare system than just children or adults having injuries, because they're really there for a really long time. So it puts excessive burden on top of just occupying the space. Tax burden as well. 33% of government spending in fiscal year 2017 were on social services for the elderly. So a lot of the tax money that the working class earn is put towards the elderly. And what does this do? It puts pressure on them to work even more, and that leads to your workaholic culture, which brings down fertility even more. Elderly crime wave. So there's a weird phenomenon in countries with aging populations, with rising cost of living, and also strain on your pension system, because your taxes can't support your pension, where the elderly, they kind of don't have a source of income anymore. So because they don't really care about their criminal record at the end of their lives, 1 in 5 convictions in 2017 were elderly just committing petty crimes to go to prison for free food, free healthcare, free water, free shelter, and a social space. So it's quite beneficial for them to do crime, but that's bad for society as a whole. So how do you manage an aging population? Well, these are a few attempts by Japan to manage it. There are pro-natal policies such as the New Aging Plan in 1999, where they provided 26,000 yen a month as child support, as well as 40% of wages paid during childcare leave, which helps with the cost of living, as well as allowing your mothers or allowing your fathers to take time off work whilst getting paid to take care of their family. Also, raising retirement age from 60 to 65, that has already been done. So 5 years more you have to work before you can retire to get pensions. There were talks about raising it to 70, but now it has died down more. Reforming the national pension system. So in Japan, previously you could pay until you're 60 and then stop paying, then collect your pension when you're 65. But now they have reformed it, so it extended the payment 5 years. So you have to pay until you're 65 and then collect it after you're 65. So there's 5-year periods more. You have to pay pensions in order to collect your pension. That helps relieve some strain on the pension system itself. There's also a tax increase from 5% to 10%, because this reformation of the national pension system is not enough, and because you have a variety of other services for the elderly that you have to do. So consumption taxes have doubled from 5% to 10% in order to fund a lot of these services and changes for the aging population. So this sums up Japan's aging population issue. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.